So have you ever wondered what goes into the cost of an ADU? Like, what does a bid look like? What does an estimate look like? And what do all the numbers mean? So today I'm sitting down with Kamal, the builder over at SF Bay ADU, and he's gonna break it all down. So Kamal, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. How are you? Always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. And this is the number one question I'm sure you get is obviously how much does it cost to build? And then how do you even decipher either estimates or bids? Because they all look vastly different.
Let's dig into that and we will decipher all that for you.
Okay, so first, can you break down, there's a difference between a bid and an estimate, right? So what can people expect when they're going through this process?
Yes, absolutely. As we talk to customers, what we see is pretty much everyone wants a number, right? And the detail between what an estimate is and what a bid is whether you have building plans, whether you have permitted plans, whether you have structural drawings. So basically, when a general contractor is giving you a bid, they're committing to build something with a given scope and at a certain price. Now, when I visit a customer or meet a customer over a Zoom call and they have no plans, we are talking in generalities. We're not really giving them a bid, we're just giving them an estimate, which is this is how much we think it will cost. Now, once the building plans are put together, once the plans are reviewed by the city, and we know that things are not going to change, that's when we give a bid. And the bid is our promise to build within the scope of this with these drawings at a certain price.
Okay, so we start with the estimate, then as things progress, move on to the bid stage, and then of course, we get started with the project. So then today, we're actually going to go through a document, and are we going to show them an estimate or a bid today?
We are going to show our customers an actual bid for a project, and the project has been done and completed. It's an ADU project, and you're seeing the beautiful kitchen in my background. That's the kitchen we built for that particular project, which you see here, which you will see here very soon.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess just for the audience as well, Kamal, your specialty is 100% custom. And real quick, why 100% custom ADUs versus say prefab?
Yeah, I mean, prefab is a great. We have partnered with a bunch of prefab companies. We've built foundations for prefab companies. We've done utility trenching for prefab companies. So we are not putting down any prefab company. Their business model is they want to design something and just repeat after that. So that works for them, and for customers whose backyards allow a prefab company to drop in a prefab unit, that works really well. We have nothing against it. Now, what we find is often enough customers have a home, the way it is situated, you cannot drop a prefab unit in the backyard, or you have no access, or a customer wants something really specific that a prefab company cannot deliver. So in those cases, we do a custom design and we deliver a custom ADU.
Okay. So for this one, of course, was 100% custom.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and bring that bid up onto the screen. Kamal, what can you tell us about this project here?
Absolutely. This was a pretty large ADU. This was a 1,200 square foot ADU that we built. This bid was put together in December of 2020. So any pricing you see, of course, here, the pricing is old, 4 years old. But even now, our format of a bid is still the same. So basically, as you look at a bid from any general contractor, look for a few things. For example, here, you see that we itemize our bid. Against each of these items, we give you a number, we give you a cost number. So it's very transparent. For example, pick anyone. Item number 6, plumbing. What does plumbing include? Rough plumbing and finished plumbing, and we give you a number there. The other thing we do is we refer back to the drawings so that our bids are really complete and they're really simple and easy to read on one page. What some contractors do is for each of these line items, they will fill 5 pages just to make their bids look voluminous and impressive. Unfortunately, they're just trying to throw a bunch of text at you. So try not to go for that. Try not to get impressed by that. We have built entire homes with a one-page bid, and it's still very efficient and it works very well. So we add up all these numbers, and these are pretty much each of the trades, and we typically keep them in a certain order. So you'll see the grading comes first, and foundation comes later, and then framing after that, and then electrical, plumbing, HVAC, then insulation, drywall, and finishes. So that's how we line up the sequence of things in our bids, and for each one of these there's an associated price. So you pretty much know when you're getting a bid from us what the amount of each check will be that you'll be writing to us. So our bid has all that information in it. Now, one thing that our bid also has, which is also very important, are exclusions. What is excluded from the bid? So, in the top part of the bid, as you can see, we are describing what's included in the bid. This bid, for example, also has fire sprinklers, but it's equally important to describe what's excluded from the bid, so there are no surprises. Later on, the customer doesn't say, "Hey, Kamal, you're not paying for the survey, or you're not paying for special inspections, or you're not paying for landscaping or hardscaping," and we tell them, "Look, this is already excluded because you pay the surveyor directly, or you do landscaping directly. We don't even have a landscaping plan." So we write it down very, very clearly so there's no surprise. We work very hard to avoid any surprises for our customers. Back to you, Josh.
Okay. And then, so say for the customers would then want to think about, well, what could those potential costs of exclusions be? What's the best way for them to estimate those costs?
Yeah, absolutely. If a customer comes to us and says, "Hey, we know that landscaping is excluded from your bid and hardscaping is excluded from your bid, but I do want to do some landscaping and I do want to have some hardscape," we say, "No problem. Let's talk about some measurements. We'll take some measurements in which areas, and we sometimes provide samples of materials. We provide costs of the materials." So we start to very quickly hone in on what exactly the customer wants, how do we price it, and if the customer likes that and approves it, we actually will add it as a line item to our bid. So we'll revise our bid because the scope of work now has changed. So similarly, we revise the bid.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And then in terms of change orders and things like that, we get deep into the process. What can someone expect in terms of that?
Yeah, in a way, some people in construction go through the practice of giving you a really low bid and then running their business by change order. And I think that's a really bad practice. Unfortunately, it's also a very common practice. And we, of course, don't do that. What we give you is an honest bid. We don't run our business on change orders. Let's give you an example. For example, if somebody omits, this project requires fire sprinklers. If somebody omits to include fire sprinklers in the bid, and later on when they start construction, then they tell the customer, "Hey, Mr. Customer, we forgot to include fire sprinklers in the bid. Here is a change order. Now you have to pay extra for fire sprinklers." So all of a sudden, you're doing a bunch of things. You're throwing a surprise at the customer. B, often enough, every customer we deal with has a tight budget. And often enough, they've thought through it very carefully. That's how much money they have. And now you're throwing it a surprise at the customer. We consider this to be a really bad practice. Unfortunately, it happens. So why does a contractor do this? Why does a contractor knowingly give a bid that's what we call a lowball bid, knowingly excluding certain items and knowingly throwing a change order at the customer? Why do contractors do that? They do that because they know most customers are going to bite at the cheapest bid that they receive. So the dishonest contractor wants to win the business with the cheapest bid and basically wipes out all the other honest contractors that are bidding for the project. The cheapest guy gets the bid, and then the customer ends up with a bunch of surprises. Often enough, when the customer's out of budget, now they need more money. So it's just one bad thing after another. So I would say, instead of going after the lowballers, try to find an honest contractor. So you'll get a bunch of bids. Everyone's shopping, we understand that. So you'll get a bunch of bids, some that'll be more expensive, some that'll be really cheap, and some in the middle. The most expensive guys could be charging you extra. And again, that's how they run their business. They may have very high overhead, so they may be charging you extra just to keep the lights on. The cheaper guys are typically lowballing everyone else and are typically deceiving you, the customer. The bids in the middle are the most honest bids typically. So those are the ones to focus on, and throw away the cheapest ones and throw away the most expensive ones.
Okay, that's a good pro tip. And then going back to this one that's on the screen, of course, every single project varies in time and cost, especially when you're going 100% custom. That's why it's 100% custom. For this particular project, how long should someone expect for the build process to be?
Sure. In this particular project, the customer wanted to pick their own finishes. their own windows, their own doors, their own cabinets, their own slabs for the countertops as well as for the island in the kitchen. So sometimes if a customer has to pick all those finishes, it takes a little bit longer because they typically aren't doing this for a living. So they need to find where to go. They need to go to multiple places, find stuff. So we try to guide our customers upfront which finish materials they can get and where to buy the material from. And by the way, if a vendor gives a contractor discount, we help our customers get that discount. We don't charge any profit on any of the finishes. So our customers are buying the finishes at the lowest price possible through the discounts that we provide to them.
Okay. That makes sense.
So sometimes that takes a little bit longer. Otherwise, an ADU can typically be built in 4, 5, or 6 months.
Okay. That's fair. Of course, if it's going to be a second home, basically, it's a significant project. They want to make sure that they have it exactly the way that they want it. Now, obviously, it's not a cheap project. For this rough ballpark, obviously, it's going to vary by area. But this is an expensive project, $440,000. In terms of equity gain, though, I mean, it could be very significant in the Bay Area. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So this ADU that we built for $440,000 in, I think it was completed in 2021. This was a 1,200 square foot ADU. So if you look at the dollar per square foot number, it turns out to be about $366 a square foot. In that city, the finished products were selling for almost $1,100 or $1,200 a square foot. So even discounted by say 30%. So you discount $1,200 a square foot by 30%, you end up with a pretty good price per square foot, and you multiply that by the size of this ADU, and you'll find that even though we are charging them $360 odd dollar per square foot, they're making 2 to 3 times that number right away, very quickly, with the equity that they gain with that ADU. So let's talk about 3 things which are really important. And of course, I have an MBA in finance. We have spreadsheets on this subject. We can share those spreadsheets with our customers. So this is what an ADU is doing for you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer. With the square foot that you've built, depending on the cost of the finishing product in your city, you're gaining equity. That's number 1. Number 2, if you rent out that ADU, you're gaining cash flow. That's also very important. Number 3, the ADU becomes an investment property. I've been told this by a CPA. I'm not a CPA, so do check with your CPA. There is an IRS bulletin about basically using an investment property over time. As it depreciates, you take a depreciation expense against it. If you're on a W-2 income, the depreciation expense can add up. So I have a bunch of customers who've done a number of these, and the depreciation expense adds up to a point where legally they're not paying any income tax. And that's an amazing situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, with the rental property side, there's a lot. If you don't mind, Kamal, I actually co-host a tax podcast with my CPA. So maybe I'll link that also down below, of course, with Kamal's information on how to learn more about building an ADU. The last things that I have for you, Kamal, today is thanks for sharing this bid. It's very tough to find, actual concrete numbers of what something could look like. So this is helpful in terms of expectations for individuals who are trying to build an ADU in the Bay Area. I know that you talked to me earlier about a few different ways that you are different compared to other builders. What are those 3 things again?
Yeah, good question. So we run our business slightly differently than other contractors. And again, everything we do is to create an advantage for our customer, to provide flexibility to our customers. So let's talk about this. For example, we don't take advances. And you have to be very careful about that. Some contractors that you may get into contract with, they'll say, hey, Mr. Customer, write me a check for $60,000. We'll start from next week. First of all, it's against the law. A licensed contractor in California, under no conditions, can ask you for an advance greater than $1,000. So be very careful. We've seen some cases where contractors have come and have asked customers in 6 digits or 5 digits and customers have paid and then they don't see the contractor again. So in order to keep our customers at ease and not have our customers worried in any way, we don't charge for advances. We don't charge advances. We do the work first on our dime. This also shows you our level of accountability. We are confident about the quality of our work. We do the work on our dime until the next milestone, say until we finish the foundation, until we finish the framing. So when our work is ready for a building inspection by the city, only then do we send the customer an invoice because the work has been finished. There's no argument that, Kamal, you are charging me for work you haven't done. The work is already done, you can see it. So it creates for a really good atmosphere, a really good conversation, and a really good relationship with our customer because it's very transparent. We're not trying to hide anything, and we're meeting state law by not charging advances greater than $1,000. Number one. Number two, we also provide something else which is quite unique. We provide a price performance guarantee. So once a customer is in contract with us, the scope of the work is defined very closely, the cost is defined very closely, the schedule is defined very closely. If we exceed our price by even a penny, we pay the customer 5% of the project cost as a penalty. A lot of people say that. A lot of people will say, hey, we never exceed the price. Ask them to back it with a guarantee like this one. We back it up with a guarantee. Again, I'll repeat, if we exceed the price by even a penny, we will pay you back 5% of the project cost. And again, there are caveats. If the customer makes a change, well, that's separate. That's a separate issue. But when we give you a bid, we will not exceed that bid by even a penny. And we give this guarantee in writing. It's not something that we say, it's in writing. Number three, the other thing we do is we will match competitors' bids if they're reasonable. Sometimes we find issues in competitors' bids. They omit some stuff, either deliberately or not deliberately. Sometimes they exclude certain things. So we want to make sure it's an apples to apples comparison. As long as it's an apples to apples comparison, we'll actually match it. And if we find issues with it, we'll actually tell you what the issues are in the competitor's bid. Even if you don't work with us, you'll walk away being an informed, more knowledgeable customer. So you're in a position to better protect yourself after that conversation with us. So those are three things we do that are quite unique. And I hope you'll take advantage of that and you'll benefit from that.
I love it. Those are very valuable to the customer. And actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention as well. And I haven't seen this on other bids that I've looked at for other projects that I've done, but in terms of the bids here, you actually put in your margin inside there.
Yes. We're very transparent. We tell you exactly what each line item is, and we tell you exactly how much profit we make. And this 15% number you see here, it's actually comprised of two numbers. There's a supervision fee and there's a profit. Our profit really is around 5%. That's what we make. Rest of the 15% is 10%, and that's the supervision fee. So we're very transparent about how much money we make on every single project.
Wow. Okay. This is the ultimate level of transparency. I have not seen another builder put something like this. So kudos to you, Kamal.
Thank you, Josh. And I should also add, this pays us back in a big way. How it pays us back is we have some customers who are doing their second and third project with us. So we make sure they have a good experience with us. We make sure that they see how careful we are saving them a dime, saving them a penny, saving them, money at every step of the process. And then they come back and they say, we only want to work with you again. They don't even shop around. So that's how it pays us back.
Love it. So if someone who is watching this video would like an estimate about an ADU project in the Bay Area, or would even just like to chat about a competitor bid, what's the best way that they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Come to our website, sfbayadu.com. Our phone number is there. Our email address is there. One more thing I should tell you, which is also quite unique. I should have talked about it earlier. Every document that we sign with you has my home address on it. Some contractors live out of a PO box. Some contractors live out of an LLC in Utah or some other place. Every document has my home address on it. All the folks who work on every single project with me, all my team members, They all have my home address. All my checks have my home address. So basically, again, our spirit is of transparency. We are not hiding from anyone. We run an honest business, and that's why we don't. It doesn't matter to us if you have my home address. You're welcome to come and meet with me and have a cup of coffee if you like. But it's a very honest and transparent way to run a business.
I love it. I love it. And yes, it is a beautiful home. I've been there before. So Kamal, I'm excited to see. Hopefully this has helped answer some of the questions for any of the viewers about what a bid looks like, what to expect. And again, if you want to connect with Kamal, I will leave the websites all linked down below. But Kamal, I really appreciate it. Thanks for showing everything and being this transparent. It is extremely helpful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. And thanks everyone for watching this.
And before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions about building an ADU, please leave them down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, the next video that we're going to film is actually comparing bids on other websites and to what may be missing from those listed online pricing and what you can expect. So if you want to watch that video, make sure to click up here or down in the description, and we will see you in that video. Thanks, everyone.